Welcome to Untested Builds, where we make character builds for your favorite fictional characters for Pathfinder 2e. If you will be so kind as to allow my humble presence onto your subscribed channels list and graciously add this to your liked videos playlist by tapping the thumbs up button below, I'd be ever in your debt. Today we're hopping back on the Riot train building Yasuo, your favorite feast or famine solo queue AFKer. For our goals for this build, we need to master the sword, not like a fencing master, not like a buster sword master, but more like a racially ambiguous mix of every East Asian sword trope Riot can jam into a single character. But it turns out they couldn't cram everything in his kit because now we basically have a second Yasuo running around. Let me know in the comments if you want to see a Yone build. Second, we need to master the art of the wind, going with the flow and using our mastery of the air for defense and offense. And lastly, we need to take full advantage of any airborne foes to use our ultimate and bring them back down to Earth, or Runeterra, or Galarian, or wherever. For stats, we're using a process detailed on page 20 of the core rulebook. Everything starts at 10, and depending on our ancestry, background, and class, we take different boosts and flaws to reach our level 1 stats. I don't know if anyone out there is actually rolling for stats in Pathfinder 2e, but if you do, you might want to prioritize thusly. Strength is first. I don't know exactly how the legendary wind technique works, but it seems like Yasuo is swinging a sword so hard that tornadoes form at his command. Dexterity is second. We're the most mobile champion in the game somehow, even though our dash only works when we have a target in our path. Constitution is up there. A bit of extra HP can stand in for Yasuo's passive shield. Charisma is above average. You don't really say much, but being hot has to count for something, right? Intelligence and wisdom go untouched. You had one job and you really screwed the pooch on that one, didn't you? Versatile humans get 2 ability boosts. We'll take in strength and dexterity. They also get a general feat for free. Fleet gives us 5 more feet of movement speed. We'll take the martial disciple background for more boost to strength and charisma, as well as the quick jump feat, which allows us to make a long jump or high jump in 1 action instead of 2, and we no longer fail for not making the initial stride action prior to the jump. For our ancestry feat, we're rushing static shiv with arcane tattoos, selecting evocation for the arcane arc cantrip. This deals 1d4 plus our charisma modifier and electric damage to up to 2 creatures who fail a reflex save. Master Soma tried to instill all those monk values into you before the war, but you were always a fighter at heart. Level 1 fighters gain a boost to either strength or dexterity, training in acrobatics, and attack of opportunity. This allows us to make a melee strike as a reaction to any creature who attempts a move, manipulate, or range strike action, or attempts to leave a square you could attack. We also get shield block, but we won't be needing it. The sudden charge class feat brings our sweeping blade online by allowing us to stride twice, and if we are in range of at least 1 enemy at the end of our movement, we can perform a strike against that enemy. For skills, we'll become trained in intimidation, medicine, and survival. For ability boosts, we'll increase our strength, dexterity, constitution, and charisma. At level 2, we'll pick up battle medicine, mostly because it's the most useful skill in the game, but also because someone had to patch up all those scars, and you've been wandering around alone for quite a while. Power attack emulates the base version of our Steel Tempest. We spend 2 actions to make a particularly forceful melee attack that on hit deals an extra weapon die of damage. The amount of extra die we get for this attack increases as we level. Level 3 fighters gain bravery, increasing our will saves to expert. In addition, when we roll a success on a will save against an emotion effect, we get a critical success instead, and if we would ever become frightened, we reduce the value of the condition by 1. We'll pick up Feather Step, allowing us to step in a difficult terrain. You can't be like the wind if you trip in the tall grass. We'll use our skill increase for expert proficiency in acrobatics. Powerful Leap gives us a 5-foot vertical, increases our long jump by 5 feet as well. Screw revenge, get this man on the basketball court. I'm still not convinced Yaz can't just actually fly. Barreling Barrage is another flavor of our sweeping blade. With this, we stride, attempting to move through enemy spaces to reach a foe and make a strike. We have to pass an athletics check against the fortitude DC of any enemy whose space we pass through, or else we stop before entering that square. Level 5 fighters gain fighter weapon mastery for a given weapon type. We'll increase our proficiency for simple and martial swords to master, and gain the critical specialization effects of that group as well. We'll use the katana as a placeholder for now, but we'll be switching this up for something more suited to our style eventually. We get a skill increase that we'll use for expert acrobatics. Ornate Tattoo gives us a level 1 evocation spell of our choice that we can cast innately once per day. Gust of Wind forces a fortitude save on a creature in a 60-foot line. On a failure, they are knocked prone, and on a critical failure, they are pushed back 30 feet and take 2d6 bludgeoning damage. Additionally, this can be used to put out fires, clear mist and fog, and move light bulk items. For ability boosts, we're increasing strength, dexterity, constitution, and charisma. Not all of the lessons Master Soma and Yone taught fell on deaf ears. The monk dedication doesn't do a whole lot for us at the moment since we're still using a katana instead of unarmed strikes, but much like with Yasuo, getting this training in now will help us reach our goals later down the road. Since we're already trained in both of the monk skills, we'll become trained in nature instead. Steady balance gives us critical success effects on regular success to balance. We are no longer flat-footed while trying to balance either. We can also use our athletic skill to grab an edge instead of our reflex save with this as well. Level 7 fighters are battlefield surveyors, meaning our perception is increased to master. In addition, we also gain a +2 bonus to our perception when rolling for initiative. Weapon specialization gives us 3 additional damage on our katana attacks since we're currently master proficiency. We also gain a skill increase that we put to good use for master athletics proficiency. With this, we can take the water sprint feat to stride on water provided we are moving at least half our speed and in a straight line. Still fall in if we stop moving. We're just a swordsman, not a ninja. Spoilers for a future build, I guess. At level 8, we'll grab the first half of our ultimate, Last Breath, with the Sudden Leap class feat. This lets us use a leap or one of the jump actions and end it in a strike. Thanks to Quick Jump and Powerful Leap, at this point from a standstill we can jump 10 feet in the air or 30 feet across to give someone the business on a DC 30's athletic check. Very doable with our +18 modifier. But the jumping shenanigans don't end there. We're also grabbing Wall Jump, basically allowing us to jump to a wall, then use that momentum to jump again. Once we're legendary in athletics, we can wall jump as many times as we have actions. Level 9 fighters gain Juggernaut for master fortitude saves and critical success results on regular successes. We also get combat flexibility, meaning we can choose an 8th level or lower fighter feat to temporarily gain during our daily preparations. Obviously change this up depending on your campaign needs, but for the purposes of this build, we'll be finishing off our ultimate by taking Felling Strike. This lets us strike an airborne foe and make them descend up to 120 feet. If we crit on this strike and that target hits the ground, they're grounded until our next turn. What really seals the deal in here is that we can combine it with our Sudden Leap to perform the initial jump action. We'll use our skill increase for Master Acrobatics. For our Ancestry feat, we'll increase our tattoos yet again with Virtue Forged tattoos, granting us access to a 3rd level evocation spell. Wall of Wind is the slowest but most powerful version of our wind wall. We can create a wall of swirling air 5 feet thick that is up to 60 feet long and 30 feet tall. Creatures that attempt to fly through the wall have to pass a fortitude save. Small physical projectiles can't pass through the wall at all, and medium projectiles get a -2 penalty to attack rolls through the wall. Obviously, this will require some planning ahead on your part to use effectively, but we'll get some more outplay potential later down the line. At level 10, swap out our katana for a more appropriate weapon by taking monastic weaponry, which allows us to use our monk abilities that reference unarmed strikes with a monk weapon. We're still a sword guy, so now the temple sword is our new bay. The Kip Up feat lets us stand up without triggering reactions. For ability boosts, we'll increase strength, dexterity, constitution, and charisma. Level 11 fighters gain fighter and armor expertise for expert fighter DC and expert proficiency in all armor types respectively. We also gain the armor specialization features for them as well. Now will probably be a good time to talk about armor. Yasuo kinda just has gauntlets and a single massive pauldron. Calling this half plate would probably be a stretch. I don't normally recommend magical items, but if you're at least level 8 and you just show up with bracers of armor, I don't think your GM is going to give you too much of a hassle. If they do, tell them Tomahawk D gave you the go-ahead. That'll definitely work. We'll pick up Expert Medicine for some better downtime recovery. Since we'll be spending a lot of that downtime alone, it would also be nice if we were a little better at all those soft skills we never picked up in the sword school. Untrained Improvisation feat gives us a proficiency bonus equal to our level for all skills we are untrained. If you haven't been keeping track at home, that's more than half of them. At level 12, we'll pick up the Ki Rush focus spell because I think needing a target to use your dash is kinda dumb. Our Yasuo will be better than in-game. This lets us move twice in any combination of steps or strides, and then we gain the concealed condition until our next turn. We'll pick up Catfall to lessen our chance of taking fall damage. We can control the wind. How can we even fall in the first place? Level 13 fighters can choose a weapon group to gain legendary proficiency in. We're here to study the sword, of course. Stubborn Persistence gives us a chance to ignore becoming fatigued by passing a DC check. We could have just took responsibility for leaving our post, but no. We gotta roam the world looking for redemption and justice. Being a fugitive on the run, we probably picked up some survival skills along the way too, so let's go ahead and pick up expert proficiency to represent that. We'll pick up Dancing Leaf for 5 more feet on our jump and leaps. Intimidating Glare lets us use our smoldering grizzled appearance to demoralize our foes while remaining the strong silent type. Level 15 fighters gain Evasion for master reflex saves and critical success on normal success rolls. Greater weapon specialization for 8 extra damage with our Temple Sword. Improved flexibility allows us to choose an additional fighter feat to temporarily gain when we make our daily preparations. The second feat can be up to level 14. This time I'll suggest taking Whirlwind Strike for additional Steel Tempest flavor. This lets us take 3 actions to strike all enemies in our reach. We make all strikes before considering our multiple attack penalty, but the attacks still count towards that penalty, so probably use a move action or something if you find yourself quickened. Remember, all those feats that increased our jump distance? Well, they're about to get crazy. Cloud Jump triples our long jump distance and lets us use our long jump calculation for our high jumps instead. Now our Sudden Leap Felling Strike can catapult us 35 feet in the air on a DC 30 check. Pair that with our now legendary athletics and we only fail that high jump on a roll of a 1. Same ability boost as last time because that's just good character building. At level 16, we'll pick up Continual Recovery so we can treat wounds on a patient every 10 minutes instead of every hour, just in case your GM is a stickler on rests between fights. We'll finally get into our flow with the Wild Wind's Initiate Key spell. This allows us to enter the Wild Wind stance, turning our sword attacks thanks to monastic weaponry into Wind Crash strikes until we leave the stance. These strikes have a range of 30 feet and deal 1d6 bludgeoning damage and ignore concealment and cover. Also, while we're in this stance, we get a +2 circumstance bonus to AC against ranged attacks. Level 17 fighters gain Armor Mastery for master proficiency in all armor types. We also gain a skill increase that we'll use for legendary acrobatics. We'll pick up some advanced general training to gain the toughness feat, giving us extra max HP equal to our level and reducing the DC of our recovery checks to 9 plus our dying condition value. At level 18, we'll pick up Quick Climber to gain a climb speed equal to our move speed. We also finally gain that reactive wind wall technique with Cut from the Air. This is a reaction we can take on an incoming physical range attack that we can see and are not flat-footed against. We get a +4 circumstance bonus to AC against it, and if it misses, it's because it hit our wind wall, of course. Wink wink. Level 19 fighters gain Versatile Legend, giving us Master Fighter DC and legendary proficiency in all simple and martial weapons, and Master Proficiency in advanced weapons. You know, in case the sword just doesn't strike your fancy at some point in the future. We use our skill increase for Expert Intimidation. You know what they say about legends? They never die. The Die Hard feat is a simple little feat that lets us die at dying 5 rather than dying 4. If only the Yasuo on your team had this instead of the one on the enemy team. For our final level, we'll take Quick Swim for a swim speed equal to our move speed. Sometimes we gotta actually swim, even though we can run on water whenever we want. Our Wind Wall gets a cheeky upgrade as well with Smash from the Air. Now we can use our Cut from the Air reaction against ranged spell attacks as well. Wind Wall works on all projectiles. Deal with it. For our final ability boost, we'll increase Strength, Dexterity, Wisdom, and Charisma. Now that we're level 20, let's look at the pros and cons of this build. For starters, you're extremely mobile, and not just the move then attack kind of mobile. You move while attacking. Nothing on a typical map is going to be outside of your reach, even if they take to the skies. We also hit like a freight train, dealing 7d8 plus 14 damage on a power attack, assuming you have the major striking rune on your temple sword. And if you can't use your sword for whatever reason, you still have a 10d4 plus 5 electric arc you can send out. As expected of a fighter, our out of combat life leaves a little to be desired. Charisma is a decent staff stat, but without training in any charisma skills but intimidation, we're going to find ourselves on the street a lot, and it's going to be hard finding reputable work with your fugitive background. But unlike Yasuo, you don't have to go it alone. Find an equally unreasonably attractive mage to run around with and let her do the talking for you. Thanks for tuning in for yet another build. Follow me on Twitter at LordTomahawkD for regular channel updates, or on Facebook for an endless stream of memes. And if you're feeling really generous, consider joining the Patreon for input on the builds I make, as well as my ever-growing archive of character sheets. Right now I have 2 polls up, so you basically get to just come by and choose my next 2 videos since you'd be my first patron. See ya!